Hello and welcome to MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavan Chawla, and with me today is a wonderful young technocrat, Mudit Dandwate, co-founder and CEO of Dozee. Dozee, remember, is a superb, innovative, one-of-its-kind offering that's truly empowering healthcare in India and has the ability to revolutionize patient care in India through that amazing remote patient monitoring system called Dozee. Mudit, welcome to the MediaCast podcast series on Mediabrief.com.
Thanks a lot, Pavan, for such an exciting intro. Very excited to be here.
Thank you, Mudit, for your time, and thanks also to Dr. Arun Abraham Ishao, PhD, Senior Account Director at Factors PR Bengaluru, for having made this interaction possible, and also to let me try to pronounce his name correctly. He's a wonderful, sweet person. Chitharthan Nagarajan, but he's also known as Chitty from Factors PR Bengaluru, who is with us on this recording as we record this podcast. So, Mudit, before we begin our conversation, I'm sure my listeners will want to know more about this young co-founder who created Dozee, an entity that's an inspiration for the young but tenacious and sometimes struggling but always effervescent medtech startup space in India. So, by your leave, this is my brief introduction of you. Mudit Dandwate is co-founder and CEO of Dozee, which comes from Turtle Shell Technologies Private Limited. Dozee is on a mission to simplify and transform healthcare for millions in India and beyond. Dozee is India's first contactless remote patient monitoring solution that is steadily and systematically pioneering patient monitoring in hospitals and at home. A mechanical engineering by education, Mudit graduated from the Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai in 2013. Before starting Dozee, Mudit worked as a vehicle dynamics expert at Altair Technologies. And there is a connection into how Mudit actually got completely focused on and into Dozee. And in 2015, he co-founded Dozee with Gaurav Parchani, an IIT Indore alumnus. Mudit, who's on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, is no stranger to out-of-the-box thinking. He pioneered an MCC-approved cricket bat, which was licensed by Schlesinger and is still in use. And right now, Mudit is focused on driving, not a cricket ball, but with Dozee co-founder Gaurav Parchani, the company's 1 million ICU target. That is his focus right now, amongst a lot of other things, I'm sure. But, well, what that is, we'll get around to in our conversation soon. So, Mudit, welcome once again to MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com.
Thank you, Pavan.
And let's get started with our Q&A. This is MediaCast from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavan Chawla. With me is Mudit Dandwate, co-founder and CEO of the wonderful, amazing Dozee. I'm going to ask him in the next 30 seconds to tell us about Dozee. What is it, Mudit?
So Dozee is a contactless remote patient monitor and early warning system that converts any bed into a step-down ICU without any contact. A thin sheet of sensor you place under the mattress and monitors all the patient vitals, relays it remotely using internet, and then using the AI engine flags if there are any kind of alerts or anomaly, and thus it saves life. And that is what is Dozee.
Wonderful, and it's the only one of its kind in India. Fabulous. Mudit, you started Dozee in October 2015 along with Gaurav Parchani as co-founders, and in the past, 6 to 7 years, Dozee has raised close to 140 crore. In fact, it's not 6 to 7 years. It's only in the past 3 years, because it was in 2019 that after 4 years of actually assiduously looking at and refining the offering and the technology, because it was an amazing, innovative, still very, very one of its kind offering in India in healthcare. Dozee launched in 2019 and has raised close to 140 crore or 1,400 million Indian rupees. So I'm aware Gaurav and you, Mudit, are IIT graduates. Tell me a bit more about your overall background, your educational background and what you did professionally after completing your IIT degree.
So me and Gaurav, as you mentioned, come from mechanical engineering background. And I had deep interest into race cars, right? Even in IIT as well, I had a race car team.
Wow.
And we built 4 full-scale race cars, including India's first electric race car as well.
Wow.
And it was phenomenally fast, and I also had pleasure of being the lead driver as well. So I used to drive that in Silverstone Grand Prix circuits as well, amongst and race it with other undergrad students from all across the world. Post that, I joined Altair Engineering, where I was working to create vehicle dynamic simulation softwares to optimize vehicle performance and make them faster, better, and even safer as well. That's where I met Gaurav. And we both were using a lot of data, technology, telemetry to actually monitor health of the vehicle and then to optimize the vehicle health performance, right? So one day we had an idea that how can we use it even further as well? And that's how Dozee was born in 2015.
Okay. So Mudit, you graduated in 2013 from the IIT. What did you do from 2013 to 2015 was Altair Technologies.
Correct.
And then in 2015, both of you all decided there is something we can draw from here and, expand and extend into healthcare. And you started Dozee.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I was about to ask you about how you thought of bringing a superb RPM, but then I thought RPM is also linked with, vehicles and wheels. But yeah, without belittling the amazing thing that you brought in for the Indian healthcare system, the remote patient monitoring system, RPM, like Dozee, it took you 4 years to perfect it. And, before you launched the Dozee RPM system in the healthcare market, there was a long period of solid and sincere investment actually into the quality of the final product. First, tell me about the wonderful Dozee remote patient monitoring system. What did it do? Okay. And then tell me what the initial journey was like, setting it all up.
So it was a very exhilarating journey, right? But before I jump into the journey, I'll just tell you about what exactly is Dozee. So Dozee is a system that converts any bed into a continuous health monitoring unit. It's a thin sheet of sensor that you put under the mattress, and without even touching the person's body, it monitors person's body vitals like heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, sleep cycles, and various other clinical insights without even touching the person.
It actually converts it into a little ICU then.
Absolutely. And the best part and what makes it remote patient monitoring, so this is the contactless piece of it.
Lovely.
What makes it remote patient monitoring is then it is connected to internet. So all this data is available remotely, and then there is an AI engine which continuously monitors the health trends of the patient. And if there are any kind of anomaly, it immediately gives an alert to nurses and healthcare providers who can take a corrective action in time and save life, right? So that is how the entire process works.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. You said that it is a strip that is placed below the mattress. How did you discover the fact that it could go below the mattress? I know there's a very interesting story here. Why don't you share that with our listeners?
So it was kind of an accident, right? So earlier we had actually not planned it to make it below the mattress. It was first made for being an over the mattress, like a bed sheet.
Okay.
But one day, we had a dog and who would chew anything which will come in its eyesight, right? So to save our early prototype from that dog, right? Pi. So we placed it under the mattress. He went and slept over the mattress, and when we came back, right, we could actually see that his heartbeats were there. So that's where we thought that how can we make it even further magical in that way? How can we make it completely contactless, right? And we've made it under the mattress.
Lovely. So what's the technology and the safety aspects of the remote or wireless sensing and continuous contact with the patient? People think about radiation, people think about other such things.
Correct.
So what is the safety element here?
Fundamentally, the way Dozee is working, right, it is absorbing the vibration produced in every heartbeat, every respiration cycle and all of that. So as such, it is not radiating anything or, pushing something on or bouncing something on your chest and then working on the reflections or anything like that.
Sure.
It is actually just receiving the vibrations which your heart is anyways producing. Typically what your doctor will hear using the stethoscope. This is just in a way placed under the mattress, right? Like that. So it is completely safe to use. Secondly, even from a medical standard perspective, there are different norms, right? So IEC 60601-1-2, right? Which are the global standards in patient safety and electrical radiation and all of that. Dozee follows all of that.
Okay.
Right? And ensures that it is entirely safe to use for everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, because so many hospitals have adopted it and it's really benefiting a lot of people. We'll come to that, and I want you to tell me that story. First 4 years, I mean, here is a guy who was zipping around in electric, hyper super speed cars, and he took 4 years of sitting and tinkering and perfecting and all of that. So I understand that, for you, the most important thing was to get your car ready for the flag off, and you did that. So what kind of investment or what kind of efforts, how easy or difficult was it for a startup? And both of you are in the top, 2 percentile of professionally qualified people in India. So you would not have had too much of a problem. But nevertheless, for some inspiration for startups in the medtech, and what you've done is created something absolutely unique, something that I would want to doff my hat to. But then what were the 4 years like? What kept you going? What kind of inspiration do you want to share with other people who are keen to sort of follow your footsteps?
So the very important thing is to take things step by step, right?
Okay.
We always, kind of break it down into different steps. So GTM took 4 years. But, there were smaller happinesses and milestones, which we kept on achieving. And that is what kept us going. Like first POC, right, which was built in like 6 months. Then first study, which was done in the human sleep research lab in Nimhans, where we proved Dozee is actually close to about 95% accurate. And later, we perfected it even further to make it close to 98.4% accurate.
That is wonderful.
Compared to medical grade. And then, the ultimate satisfaction was, in close to about 3.5 year time, when we had given Dozee for our first set of alpha and beta users, Dozee saved its first life, right? It actually predicted something. Person got in touch with the doctor immediately. And it was actually, the person was nearing a cardiac event.
Oh.
And that is what, gave us that kind of a shimmer of hope that, what we are doing is right. The direction is right, and we have to push even further, right, to make sure that what one life we have saved, now it becomes 1 million lives as well.
Lovely. Yeah, there is the 1 million ICU. See, million, the other word. The same word, rather. We'll talk about that too. And now, Mudit, tell me about the remarkable, I keep saying remarkable, but it is, Dozee remote patient monitoring system, which is, powerful enough to oversimplify, it critically saves lives and also invaluable nursing hours,
Correct.
Freeing resources from other pressing requirements of patient care. So what kind of savings in patient care in terms of effort, time, resources does it provide or offer a healthcare professional?
So we recently commissioned a independent study, right? That when we had some kind of an install base now last year in close to about 200 hospitals. So this agency went and surveyed in different places that what is the impact that Dozee is having. We found that 100 Dozee beds, right, are saving close to about 80% of nursing time, which is going into vitals capturing. So it is saving close to about 2.5 hours of nursing per day per nurse per one.
Wow, amazing.
Second, it is reducing the average length of stay inside ICU by almost 26%, because right now, as you know, after COVID pandemic, ICU is a very scarce resource, right? Both in public as well as private settings. And if we are freeing up that bottleneck, nothing like that.
Correct.
Right? So it is freeing up that bottleneck. It is reducing its load by 26%.
Right.
And then effectively, it is also giving close to about 144 life-saving alerts using its AI algorithm.
Lovely.
Right? And all of this together accounts for close to about 2.7 crores of saving per 100 beds.
Beautiful.
Right? Imagine this extrapolated to all the beds, across India in public sector. India can save close to about 2,200 crores of saving per year, right? If it adopts a technology like this.
Lovely. Absolutely wonderful, Mudit. And I'll say thank you on behalf of everybody who's benefited from Dozee, even from the healthcare sector, basically, because that's where you really are going to make an enormous positive impact. So wonderful. I'm glad you were fixated on Dozee and perfected it so beautifully well. Mudit, my next question is connected with the previous one on the, your observation on ICU occupancy percentages. See, private hospitals, are they reluctant because the opportunity revenue from full-blown ICU admissions might go down? Because often, purely for lazy monitoring, a few private hospitals are known to kick their patients upstairs and fill up the ICU beds. Do tell me this, although it's early days, which are the hospitals and, some of the better known ones, and how many, perhaps if you can share, hospitals have welcomed the conversion of every single bed from across the poorest of common wards to the privatest of richest suites into step-down ICU beds by using Dozee. What they've done really with Dozee, if they've done it, is they've added an enormously strong and completely, the eye kind of 24/7 monitoring of the vitals. And that just adds such a massive layer of security in terms of safety and, the caring for the health and keeping the patient completely well looked after and monitored. So how many hospitals and which other hospitals that have already adopted Dozee?
So there are close to about 300 hospitals across India.
Wow.
And close to about 40 districts all across India who have welcomed this technology already, right? And it's, I would say in like first 1.5 years of the operation since we started going after this. So that is one. And covering close to about 7,500 beds right now, right? So that's a very fast pace adoption that we have seen.
Lovely.
Partly also because of, a lot of awareness which has come post-COVID that, our existing infrastructures are not adequate enough for patient monitoring, and nurses shortages there, and also there is an acute shortage of ICU as well. And therefore, we have seen this very, very rapid adoption, and we are seeing that even post-COVID as well, right? So that is continuing to happen. In terms of some of the names that you asked, right? We have worked with Indian Army also, Indian Navy as well. We have worked with different public hospitals like IGGMC Nagpur, some of the well-known ones, ESIC, railways, right? And a lot of, standalone private hospitals as well. Even, some of the very well-known names as well, right? So we have worked across the entire spectrum of the healthcare providers in India now.
Oh, lovely. Very nice. And so you said 100 Dozee beds were saving how much?
In terms of cost, 2.7 crores per year.
Right. And you're now in 7,200 beds already?
Correct.
Come on, quickly do the math. Tell me, you IIT specialist.
So that's about close to about 140 crores of savings already.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You should be proud. So Mudit, one of the important benefits that Dozee brings to the hospital bed actually is the reduced patient burden for hospital staff, particularly for nurses who have to continuously monitor the patients and their condition. So apart from that, what other benefits and advantages does Dozee bring to healthcare in India?
Yeah, so apart from reducing the burden on the staff, it brings digitization and automation.
Okay.
Secondly, it also reduces the infection, right? Secondary infections which are caught because of, reusing the equipment between the patients and all that. And because this is contactless, it entirely, removes that possibility itself. Patients are much better taken care of. The number of code blue events reduces.
Okay.
Right. And that also reduces a lot of in-hospital adverse events that happen as well. Right. So these are different benefits that, Dozee brings to the table.
Yeah. Also, I think I read somewhere that it just takes about 15 minutes to upgrade from a normal bed into a step-down ICU bed thanks to Dozee. So there's an ease of setup also, isn't there?
Absolutely. So, one thing which is there is, which I kind of always believe is that, unless things are super simple, they don't scale up.
True.
Right. And therefore, we wanted to keep things very simple because the hospital staff and everyone, they are under a lot of pressure.
Correct.
And if we make things complicated, it is not going to help, right? So we wanted to keep things very simple.
Lovely. Very nice. So the technology was developed in India?
Absolutely. It is entirely not just developed, it is even manufactured even today as well, entirely in India.
And what does it cost?
So it costs, in terms of relative terms, it costs less than a cup of coffee in Starbucks probably a day, or 1/10 the cost of regular ICU equipments which are there.
Okay. I would much rather not play 20 questions. Tell me, what is the MRP of this for one hospital that wants to buy it?
It depends a lot on the scope of work, right? So therefore, I'm giving you kind of more relative terms.
Then describe the scopes of work. This is such an amazing new concept. Even I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And I'm very curious. So just assume that my curiosity reflects that of people who don't know anything about it.
So it's close to about 150 rupees per day cost.
Okay. And is it sold? I mean, you sell it outright, right?
So it works on different models. So you can take a 5-year license, you can take a 2-year license, you can take a 1-year license, you can take even a quarterly license, right? So we have all financial models available. Idea is to make it very easy for hospitals. Even the financial burden should not be on them.
So ultimately, what you're giving them is not the hardware with all the IP inside. What you're giving them is just a license to use this amazing hardware as a health service instead of software as a service.
Absolutely. So it's entirely blended in, right? So hardware is one piece, but it does have a very powerful software, AI,
Sure.
alerting engine, HIS integrations, right? Which are all included in
Sure.
right? So it is kind of a fully blended, integrated pricing that I'm telling you.
Lovely. And how has the Dozee offering been rolled out across public and private healthcare in India?
So we have Dozee sales team, right, which of course is one of the primary ways in which we are distributing the product. But we also do have national and regional distributors all across India as well, right, who are marketing this product currently.
And what are you doing to create greater awareness about this category? Because you are a first mover, you are the pioneer. So you need to also educate people in the space so that they're aware and informed and excited enough to use it. Ultimately, it's all about selling and bringing out as many and deploying as many as you can for the greater good, and also therefore revenues rolling in, which you can then pump back into creating a better and always evolving offering.
So we of course participate in different trade shows from different medical industries. Trade shows are there where we do demonstrate the product. We do also do dissipation from innovative platforms like MediaCast as well, right? That is also the different ways in which we ensure that awareness is generated for something like this.
Okay, I guess it's really direct selling and not much more. Okay, and what about training and back-end support for the end user, meaning your hospital customers or even individuals who take it home to use? Ultimately, you have to train the medical caregivers.
Correct.
So that training and back-end support in a fail-safe manner.
Correct.
Because after all, Dozee monitors critical parameters and it has to be on 24/7. So what are the fail-safes built into the system?
So these are two questions, right? So I'll take one by one.
Yeah, sure.
So fail-safe, methods which are built in, right? So number one, we follow all the global standards pertaining to medical grade, right? So ISO 13485, Dozee is compliant to. Also ISO 27001, which is for data security and privacy of the users as well. So there are different such fail-safe scenarios which are built into the devices and the entire offering itself. Second part is that how do we train, right, and educate the end customer. So that is a customer success team is there of Dozee who entirely handholds the customer until they are entirely equipped. But as you mentioned, since it's very easy to use, easy to understand, right, it doesn't take very long to actually understand all of this, right? So we do seminars and all of that, but at the end of it, it is very easy knowledge transfer, right, at the end of it.
No, what Dozee also does is it allows the nursing care provider to actually customize everything and set the thresholds for the monitoring and alarm levels, etc. for everybody. So that's really nice. And I also understand it is also something that you can, just as I can sort of view my CCTV camera at home or in an office on my app from a distance. You can do this on your app also.
Correct.
So all of that is definitely in place and very easy to use, which is great. Let's talk about the pandemic. It wreaked havoc and caused unimaginable human suffering. But thanks to global pharmaceuticals, academia, and regulatory bodies supporting one another to develop and bring out the much needed solutions that people wanted, there was much hope, and really the human spirit and resilience did triumph, even if I, make a conclusive statement there. There was an accelerated uptake of digitalization across sectors, especially healthcare, and many new health tech and med tech options came up and solutions came up. So from your perspective, Mudit, tell me about the contributions of Dozee during the pandemic.
So during the pandemic, one of the key places where we thought we could contribute is to quickly help India upgrade the critical care infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And in that, we actually launched one initiative, which was called Million ICU. And in that, we quickly, upgraded close to about 3,000 public hospital beds into step-down ICU.
Wow.
Monitoring everything remotely, and then also training nurses to remotely take care of patients. So they didn't have to go near the patient to take vitals, thereby reducing the infection rate, stress levels, and everything in the process, right? That is something, we did. We scaled up quickly, launched the initiative, and thankfully were able to contribute to India's fight back in the pandemic as well.
Lovely, lovely. Very, very good indeed. Right. Mudit, where is the Dozee RPM system manufactured in India? Where?
So we have two facilities right now, one in Bangalore and one in Chennai. So right now it is manufactured over.
And what is the kind of productivity you have? Because, by when will you achieve your Dozee million ICU ambition for Indian healthcare? Because I know that it started as a very sincere initiative during the pandemic.
Correct.
And obviously was very purpose and service driven, community service driven. It was a CSR kind of an initiative. But I know that you are now determined to take Dozee to that magical 1 million mark across the country.
Correct.
So how much time will that take, and what is the rate of production that you have in any case?
So we have set ourselves a very ambitious timeline of next 3 years to hit that milestone.
Okay.
And from manufacturing perspective, that's not a challenge. Currently, we have capacity of close to about 50,000 units in a quarter at the peak load.
Okay.
And we can even scale it up further as well, right? So that is not the challenge. I think this is something which, we are very determined to solve no matter what.
Absolutely. More strength to you, Mudit. With this kind of technology, I can see this can't be just about solving hospital monitoring capacity and capability for India. So I think you will have to increase your manufacture capability and capacity, or maybe put it up internationally somewhere, because this has to be a solution for the world. So what are your expansion plans?
So absolutely, right? So the whole idea behind Dozee is made in India, made for world in a way. But first up, right, of course, priority is India.
Sure.
So of course, we will work first here and ensure that is there. But at the same time, Dozee has achieved all the required international regulatory approvals as well now. Right, so very soon probably we'll also be launching it in outside India market as well.
Excellent. And Mudit, you yourself are in the prestigious Forbes 30 under 30 list. Tell me about the awards and certifications for Dozee over the past 2 years or so.
So over the last 2 years, Dozee has won multiple awards, right? So I may not be able to remember the entire list, but I'll try to remember how much I can. So Dozee had won ET Innovation Award, then Deccan Herald 22 to watch in 2022. Then Anjali Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. We had also won Metropolis Healthcare Heroes Award. Then we had also got Startup of the Year Award from ASSOCHAM. Right? I think so. These are multiple awards. Then coming to certifications, Dozee has today ISO 13485, ISO 27001, then CDSCO, right, which is required for distribution in India as well, right? So all those IC 60601, ROHS, right? So all these certifications Dozee has.
Lovely, lovely. You also won some CSR awards during COVID, and then you also were on the NASSCOM League of 10 and so many other awards. It's nice. You have an embarrassment of riches and, you can afford to forget the awards you won. But I love the focus on your 1 million ICU. More strength to you for that. So Mudit, you said that, you're looking international also as soon as your basic threshold of service for India is met in terms of the numbers, maybe your 1 million, or perhaps even before that, you will want to look abroad and go abroad. So which country would you want to start with? Sure, you've thought about that, but which are the major regions of the world where you'd want to take this?
So, Dozee also has two offerings, right? So one is hospital offering, right, which is kind of more for developing nation. We understand that, right, where critical care infrastructure is not there or very weak. So that we are planning to take to countries like African countries, then Nepal, Bangladesh, LATAM, and so on.
Okay.
While our home care one, which is made for more advanced market, that we are looking to launch in like Middle East, Australia, and so on, right? So that is how we are planning our GTM outside India.
Lovely, lovely. All the very best to you, Mudit. Mudit, I know it's completely a direct, B2B or, direct personal contact kind of selling that happens, because it's not just saying, hey, I have this product. You also have to explain to people what the category is and who will say, what? Is this something even narrower than the kind of slip disc belt that people wear, and that will give you all those parameters? I mean, I'm sure there must be incredibility also, and your people have to not just be good sellers, but also very good demonstrators who can inspire the confidence. And I'm sure ultimately the confidence comes from the very nature of the product and the service that it gives you. So that is very, very good. But tell me, apart from, this direct selling, what other ways do you think is there any merit in also now informing the end users of the hospitals which you want to adopt Dozee, right? Because they should also know that every bed that you are in is going to continuously monitor you.
Correct.
Isn't there any merit in educating that category to put pressure on the hospitals to adopt this? Because this is not a mercenary push. This is something for everybody's betterment in terms of health and the provision of healthcare in India.
No, absolutely. I am with you on that, right? And it has to be like that. Finally, it is also in a way, hospitals who are using it, when patients actually see what is that, they are also curious, they ask about it. And they also in a way, spread the word. So every Dozee bed which is there touches about 50 patients, right? And then their families and so on. So it is slowly building that up. But yes, you are right. That there is a huge, benefit in terms of even creating this category from an end user perspective as well. So we are indeed working on that. But that is, as it's a longer process. And see, one other benefit that we have is that Dozee also has a home version as well. So eventually, right, Dozee is also there for an end user when they are leaving from the hospital, so that they can also take care of themselves for a prolonged time.
No, good. And in fact, when you do this, you're also actually educating people about general healthcare and better healthcare, because this monitoring and this ensuring that everything that is critical is monitored perfectly well and becomes an early warning system also. That's very, very important in healthcare. And, even me, I as a complete layman who's not into healthcare technically or even education-wise, do understand and realize the importance and the wonderful gravitas and the usefulness of what you have brought to Indians, and I'm sure you will take to the world also with Dozee. Why the name?
That's a quite interesting story. So actually Dozee, right, we wanted to make healthcare simple or easy. That's where the name that we wanted was not very complex. मतलब ऐसा डराने वाला नहीं चाहिए था. We wanted it to be sounding very easy. And Dozee, if you see, right, it is kind of sounding like easy. That's why one, Dozee that. Second, Dozee works when you are actually lying down on the bed, right? So it is heavily linked with while you are sleeping or something like that. It's a caretaker which takes care of your health while you are sleeping. So that's where Dozee.
Lovely. Mudit, I admire what you've done and what you've given to India with Dozee. And I think this was a real eye-opener. I knew nothing about Dozee and the concept and the offering, and suddenly I realized that with just 100 beds, if it saves 2 point whatever crores, and you're already in 7,200 beds across the country, and you're aiming to go to 1 million, you are set to revolutionize and really bless the Indian healthcare space. And may you really grow, and your reach and the great effect and the good work footprint of Dozee really spread. I enjoyed my conversation, a lot of insights and a completely new concept to hear about and marvel at. So I enjoyed the conversation. What did you think about your chat with me on MediaCast on Mediabrief.com, Mudit?
It was an absolute pleasure, right? Both for me as well as Dozee as well, I would say. So one of the very fun, as in conversations, I would say, Pavan, that we had. And I really enjoyed the entire, concept of MediaCast, and, wishing very good luck to Mediabrief. And I hope, you keep on bringing amazing stuff to people, engaging them and also educating them in the process. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mudit. You're very kind. And thanks also once again to Dr. Arun Abraham Ishao, PhD, Senior Account Director at AdFactors PR Bengaluru, and also to Chitty from AdFactors PR Bengaluru. Both wonderful lads, and they really helped me a lot with this and gave me a lot of understanding on Dozee. So you're in good hands, Mudit.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys, from AdFactor. You had been amazing. Thank you.
Mudit Dandwate, co-founder and CEO of Dozee, was my distinguished guest on this wonderful, really insightful episode for me. I learned a lot of MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com. I found his insights very useful, and I'm sure that everybody else is going to join me in doffing a hat to Mudit and his co-founder Gaurav, and also to Dozee for the wonderful work they're doing in healthcare across India. And I'm sure very soon they will be doing this across the world too. Till we meet again in the next episode of MediaCast, the podcast series from Mediabrief.com, this is your host and friend Pavan Chawla saying, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.